So today I'm going to explain to you how to never run out of things to say in a conversation. First of all, you need to know that running out of things to say is not actually a words problem. It's actually a self-esteem and a mindset problem. Once you see why, it will never happen again. So first of all, you need to understand that every conversation operates on 4 different layers. And these go from the least important to the most important. The least important is actually what you're saying. It's only really useful for transferring technical information. Remember, complex language is the most recent thing to evolve in human communication. The second to least most important out of the 4 is how you say it. This is more important than what you say, but it's only important insofar that it could sub-communicate the state of the other layer. Now we're getting to the second most important, and that's the intention behind your communication. This is demonstrated by your tone, how you hold yourself, and about 100 other micro-expressions. And then finally, the most important, that's your self-esteem, your level of self-acceptance, who you actually are. The order here really does matter. Self-esteem is the most important thing in any conversation. The words you say really are the least important. So when you're panicking about running out of things to say, you're actually just stuck in your logical brain, overthinking on layer 1, while ignoring the 3 that actually drive results in a social situation. It's like obsessing over the paint color of your car while the engine is completely broken. If you fix the deeper layers, like your intention, your comfort with yourself, the words will stop being a problem. You can mess up the words, what you say, and even how you say them. You cannot mess up the sub-communication from the deeper layers. And the real truth here is that once your self-esteem, the deepest layer, is in order, all the other layers will fall into place like a perfect jigsaw puzzle. What makes it even simpler is that high self-esteem is not some mythical thing that takes years of practice or hard work, like memorizing lines, scripts, or techniques is. High self-esteem actually stems purely from radical self-acceptance, and this self-acceptance requires you to reintegrate all of the parts of yourself that you suppressed due to childhood trauma and social conditioning, and then become aware of your defense mechanisms in real time. So how to not run out of things to say? High value people say dumb things all the time. They don't feel the need to impress anyone, so they just say whatever comes naturally. When you try to find the perfect thing to say every time, 3 things happen. 1, you run out of words from the pressure. 2, you come across as try hard. And 3, you actually look unconfident on what most people would describe as low value, the opposite of what you wanted. Someone who stutters, can't speak fluently, is sub-communicating a history of rejection and low status, because clearly they have so much to hide that they must filter everything they say to you so you don't reject them. And what comes off as more low value, worth avoiding than that? Don't fall into the trap of tightly controlling your speech either. It's even worse because it comes off disconcerting and ultimately lower value, because you're sub-communicating that you can't show your true self and therefore must wear a mask, which can signal emotional weakness. The only fix is the simple one: lower the bar. Anything you say is good enough. Our whole lives we're conditioned to think before we speak, but the only way to achieve social fluency and to appear highly confident socially is to actually speak before you think, to speak from your feelings. Stumble over your words, own it, say something awkward, laugh at it. That kind of honesty is far more disarming than any perfect lie. Trying to be impressive is the least impressive thing you can do. Think of it this way: your only duty is to express yourself in the clearest, most authentic way possible, no matter what social pressure you're under. And keep in mind that expression is always far more important than impression. So what to do when the panic hits and your mind goes blank? On this 3-step formula. First, embrace it. Accept it out loud. I've got nothing right now. Resistance is what makes it worse. Acceptance diffuses it instantly. Second, exaggerate it. Take it somewhere absurd. This is a historic moment. Exaggeration will remove the weight from it. And thirdly, laugh at it. And if this formula feels like too much in the moment, just narrate. Say exactly what's happening in your head and trying to think of something clever and nothing is coming. Okay, this is awkward. This is authentic, relatable, and often much funnier than anything rehearsed. And here's the truth: unless you're in deep meditation, your mind is always going to be generating something. Even I have nothing to say is something to say. Remember, live in your feeling, live in the present, not cognition, as cognition is always negative due to defense mechanisms, the way the human brain works, always scanning for threats in a social environment. When it comes to scripted lines or techniques, sometimes at the beginning it's fine to have a few fallbacks ready. They take the pressure off, then move to making things up on the spot. But you want to do this very sparingly. Scripts, lines, techniques, training wheels. Their goal is to simulate high self-esteem and then get the conversation moving again. But you can't rely on them permanently. Conversation is also not a one-person show. If you're carrying the entire conversation alone, of course you'll run dry. And that's not a you problem, that's a structural problem. Conversations have 2 people. When you run out, stop performing, start collaborating. Smile, look at the other person. Wait, frame it as their turn. When they speak, you'll have something to respond to, and responding is always easier than generating something from scratch. The best conversationalists are actually not the people who talk the most, but actually the ones who make the other person feel the most heard. Understanding that alone can remove most of the pressure. So to finalize, we need to consider what the root of all of this is. The blank mind, the pressure to perform, it all comes from one thing, and that's low self-esteem resulting in seeking approval. When you've done the internal work, when you're genuinely comfortable in your own skin, not competing, not needing external validation, the fear of running out of things to say will disappear all on its own. That's because you're not trying to impress. In that state, words come out naturally, or they don't, and then silence stops being uncomfortable. You're still connecting. Either way, the ultimate social skill isn't about having the perfect words. It's about being so comfortable with yourself that even silence feels like connection. Reintegrate every part of yourself that you've suppressed. Let go of all the social conditioning that you're not enough, and this problem will solve itself permanently.